welcome back to the show this morning. I'm Rose Roberts. So, as I said at the opening this morning, on Friday, we'll report GDP, which is going to show probably about a 35% pop in the third quarter. Apologies. And that was following about a more than 30% decline in the second quarter. And as we talked about on the show, recently, fun with math, if you have $100 and you lose, $30, you lost 30%, right? So you got $70 left. If you get 30% of it back on $70, you're at $91, right? You don't get your 100, you don't get back to 100, right? You come back to a lower number. And that's what we're dealing with now in terms of these percentages. We had a big percentage loss off a much bigger number in the second quarter. So now we're going to have this record-shattering gain in the third quarter, but we still be in a recession. Unfortunately, things are getting weaker. Caterpillar this morning, if there's ever a good proxy for the economy, it's Caterpillar, right? They build bulldozers and pavers and, all that stuff, right? You drive down the freeway and those big yellow behemoths.
It's big boy toys.
Yes. All along the road, working, right? So if there's ever a proxy of what's going on economically, it's Caterpillar. Not just domestically, but internationally as well. And so when we hear these stories about, wow, the economy's recovering, we're back on track, man, it's great, we're just hired 11 million people, put them back to work. All true, coming off a shutdown, nobody's working. Now we put some people back to work. So yeah, big numbers. Sustainability is now the question. Caterpillar reported a 54% drop in sales in the third quarter amid lower equipment demand. So again, while we're seeing economic recovery, it's bifurcated at best, right? There's some areas of the economy doing better than others. And going into the fourth quarter, the Chicago Fed National Activity Index. Now, this index does not get a lot of love from the media because it's complicated and they can't put it into a soundbite, so they ignore it. But, it's one of the best indicators of what's happening economically. Why? Because it has 85 different subcomponents that covers everything in the economy from manufacturing to service to sales, the whole nine yards, right? So it's a really good economic indicator, and that indicator is declining fairly rapidly as we head into the fourth quarter. It's all suggesting that, again, we have a bifurcated economy. We have some areas doing well, some areas not doing so well. And again, there's a difference between restarting and recovering. I talked about on the show yesterday, my wife and I went out for dinner on Friday night, and, we're old. We don't like to wait. If the line at Luby's is too long, we go somewhere else. I'm joking.
Well, you're on limited time.
Yeah, well.
The older you get.
Exactly. I don't want to waste time standing in line. I don't have a lot of it left. But, we were driving around going to restaurants, and there's lines outside the restaurants. And so we're like, let's go, we've got a few haunts that we go to on a regular basis. So we just went to a different haunt, right? We're not real picky about food. We'll eat anything. When you're on a diet and you go out for a treat, you'll eat anything.
Yeah, how much can you do with lettuce?
Exactly. So when you go out, it's like, what do you want? You're right. We're gonna blow our diet. We're gonna cheat. It don't matter. It doesn't matter where you eat. If they got a menu and table service, you're all in.
Any port in a storm.
Exactly. Because when you go back home, it's back to the diet. Anyway. So we're going out, and restaurant one packed, restaurant two packed in line. Finally went to one of our restaurants, and there was still a line, but it was very short and easy to get in. So we stopped and ate there. But you get inside, and of course, it's like, wow, man, parking lot's pretty full. Line outside the door, they must be blowing and going. Get inside, every other table's empty, right? And the point about that is there's a difference between reopening and recovery. we've reopened the economy. So the third quarter GDP is going to show this very sharp gain from reopening. We go from, if your normal table flow at a restaurant or your normal business is 100 customers or $100,000 a day in revenue, however you want to measure your normal business, and you go from 100 to 0, that was the shutdown. Because now you got no customers, right? Nobody can come to your shop because we're shut down. And then we say, okay, now you can reopen. And you go from 0 to 1 customer or 0 to $1, right? You've had a 100% increase in sales, right? So when you see a lot of these economic data, survey points, they say, well, how's your business doing? Man, we're doing great. We're up 100%. Yeah. That's the issue. And so when you look at a lot of these survey data points, they look fantastic, right? And if you take a look at this, you're just like, man, why do we need more stimulus? The economy's doing great. We're blowing and going. I mean, we got record manufacturing numbers right now on sentiment, right? ISM's back up into major expansion territory. Again, problem is that these are surveys based on percentage changes in data, and the data is skewed because of this shutdown. Now, eventually, this is all going to work itself out, right? We'll get back to some normalcy. But again, when we take a look at the economy, is it recovering? Absolutely, it's recovering. It's getting better. Has it recovered? Absolutely not. Because, again, how do you recover if you're at 50% or even 75% capacity? Most businesses operate with a very slim profit margin, 10%, 20% profit margin. So if you're at 75% open, right, if you're only at 75% capacity of your business, you may be breaking even, maybe, because your profit margin is just not there, right? Until you get back to 100% open, it's going to be very hard for you to be profitable, especially when you have a labor-intensive business, right? Employees are expensive. You got payroll, you got taxes, healthcare benefits, 401k plans, all the stuff they want, right? Employees are expensive. So trying to get back to profitability is challenging for a lot of these businesses. And this is why, look, you take a look at the bankruptcy rate in small businesses, sharply on the rise here. We're going to probably wind up losing 40% of our small businesses, maybe more. And they make up about half the employment in the U.S. So, I mean, this is no small thing, right? You may look around your neighborhood and go, yeah, there's a nail salon and they went out of business. There was this hair place that went out of business. Those 3 restaurants down the corner, yeah, they didn't make it. They weren't that big. They're very important. The majority of employment, or I shouldn't say the majority, but almost half, let's put it that way, of the employment in the U.S. is done by businesses of 100 or fewer employees. The number of small businesses that have 5 or fewer employees make up a very large chunk of the economy. So, mom and pop on the corner, very important to the economy. Very important to your neighborhood too, right? Those are your neighbors. Always get a tickle when people talk about, they get upset at ExxonMobil or Chevron or somewhere. It's like, hey, let's boycott the gas station at the corner. You're not hurting ExxonMobil. That's your neighbor that owns the ExxonMobil station at the corner, and he depends on the sales of gasoline for his retail sales, which is where his income comes from to live in your neighborhood, right? So when you're boycotting that local convenience store because you're pissed off at ExxonMobil, you're not hurting ExxonMobil. They already sold the gas to the poor guy at the corner, right? They've got their money. You're only hurting your neighbor, all right? Small businesses are your neighbors. That's your neighborhood. That's your economy that you live in your area. This is why it's so important that we support our local businesses, right? It's right now we're all in freak out mode and we're buying everything from Amazon, right? Online orders are shooting through the roof. A lot of those are Amazon. But we need to take a serious step back and think about our neighborhood. And instead of ordering something at Amazon, go buy it from a local retailer in your neighborhood, because they depend on you, right? Your economy in your neighborhood depends on you. How we live and operate in our areas depend on you. And we forget about it. I mean, look, it's easy to forget about this, and I forget about it too. Look, I'm just as guilty as everybody else, right? I mean, I'm in a hurry. I need something, order it from Amazon. But, we really need to step back and think about these things, because our local areas are very important. This is the one thing that people don't understand about communities. You take a look at the Jewish community, the Asian community, et cetera. They live together. They shop their own businesses. They support their own structure, right? And that's why these areas tend to be very well. I mean, they tend to economically do very well most of the time because they all support each other. And we need to take that model and we need to adapt that now, because if we lose half of our small businesses, the economy will never get back to where it was pre-pandemic. That's just how important Jim and his restaurant is down the corner, and Sarah and the hair salon down on the street corner, the dry cleaners on the other corner. Those are very important to the overall economy. And we need to seriously think about next time before we click that Amazon button, could we get it from a local supplier? Could we support our local retailers? Could we support our community? See you next time on the next edition of The Real Investment Show. Get by the website today. We have a new article out talking about why there's a huge bond buying opportunity. Not today, coming. A huge bond buying opportunity that'll make you a lot of money. That's on the website now, at the website realinvestmentadvice.com. Send your questions, comments, and emails, and get our link to our Policy Over Politics webinar coming up today. That'll be out there, realinvestmentadvice.com. See you next time.